Oh, I don't like this.
It's like a false start the entire time.
See, I enjoy that. I mean, I don't... It's not my favorite, but, like... I just...
Like, somebody's on the turntable fucking up a good song. Feel like you could just drop the needle and let this one play.
That would be fantastic to be like that DJ who's like, I'm going to intentionally fuck up real good songs just to piss people off. God. Could you imagine?
And then they play a song, and I don't insert your own song here, but they don't touch anything. So insinuating the whole song is bad.
Yeah.
Was he slow?
Mm-hmm.
No. The thing that he wrote?
Yeah, it's on there.
It was actually by Kid Koala.
I think so, yeah. And then Danger Mouse do something, too?
Danger Mouse did one with, that's why Killer Mike and Big Boy were in that scene, because they did the Danger Mouse song, Chase Me. It's Danger Mouse featuring Run the Jewels and Big Boy.
Well, welcome out, everybody, to episode 349 of the... You didn't see me do it. I'm that good, ladies and gentlemen. Surprise.
Wait, we're recording right now?
We're recording right now? I was like, why? We're on a podcast. What? No.
What's a podcast?
A podcast is derp-a-derp-a-doo. And if you listen to the full episode, pay no attention to the microphone. Derp-a-derp-a-doo. Sorry.
That may be a recurring character.
I'm fine with that.
What are we doing here again?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're here to talk about a movie, but before we get officially into the movie, check out our wonderful sponsors, PackratComics.com, audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky, and then the magical and unauthorized misadventures of Rocky and Boinkle at gbgpresentspod.com, and that you can get more of that on our show notes. And we are also part of the It's All Been Done Presents Network, or IABDP. And speaking of the network, a big focus of the network is entertainment content. And It's All Been Done Presents has an in-house TV expert who has been offering his reviews of television programs for the past 7 years. It's me. It's not me. It's actually my good pal, Jimmy, a.k.a. he uses Jerome Wetzel is his name. He's the chief television critic.
He's fancy.
He done there fancy. Derp-a-derp-a-derp. I am Jimmy. Derp-a-derp-a-derp. He'll listen to this though, and he'll be like, I don't sound like that at all. Actually, he'll be like, derp-a-derp-a, because he's really loud. I'm sorry. You have tone problems though, bro. He's never quiet. Like him whispering. He's like, what? Like, and actually the whole time he'd be like, yeah, you're right.
This is my library voice.
Actually, I would say, since he had the kid, he does. I feel like he is a little not too great.
I used that today. I said, guys, we need to use our babies, our sleeping voices right now.
Oh, man. But, so, Jerome Wetzel is the chief television critic for Seat42F.com. Technically, I haven't messed anything up yet, so do not drink. And he's a contributing writer for Blog Critics Magazine. It's all been done anyway. So check out the latest work at IABDpresents.com. And right as I said, I was like, derp-a-derp-a-derp. It's all been done anyway. That's because we've already done that.
That's the alt universe.
It's the alternate. It's the parallel universe ID. It's like everyone comes out like derpa. Welcome to the show, derpa. It's the best thing you're gonna know, derpa. Sorry about the derpa hat. Why the derpa that? If you would like to actually know what the hell we're talking about at this point, it's allbeendoneradiohour.com, which, by the way, I am a member of that show. I write for that show. I love that show dearly. This is all in good fun. Now, please, I'm not being malicious in any way whatsoever. But anyway, let me look all casual now. Today, we have hosts with us, So Long Stargazer's Nick Wray and Matt Lab's Kyle Jepson.
What up?
And just a little FYI, we're going to talk about the film Baby Driver, which, if you're going, Nick, that movie's been out since God knows however long. But here's the beauty. September 12th, it came out on DVD, and it will be available on Blu-ray October 10th. And I think it will also be on digital download on September 12th.
Yeah.
So
I should have rented it on DVD to watch before this podcast.
Yeah, right. Right, because because we're not at all doing this before September 12th.
Time travel.
I'm
Skyping in from Paris right now.
Oh, that's right. Even though it sounds 100% professional, I let you take a mic, which is really expensive, and I would not really do any extra thing, but I made an exception.
I'm in a cafe right now smoking cigarettes and eating a lot of cheese.
I am in that cafe.
The cafe?
Baguette. Sorry, that was
S'il vous plaît.
S'il vous plaît. That's the only thing I did not write in that episode. But I mean, in terms of that little section, everything else was me, and then Jimmy added "s'il vous plaît." I was like, "Son of a bitch! You know I have a hard time saying words enough as is. Why do you think I went with the easy stuff?" Like, actually, that's the one thing I think I didn't put in retrospect. It was like "les cigarettes." Yeah. Anyway, people have no clue what we're talking
not
about.
a thing.
But you know what? That's okay. Inside jokes, everybody.
Go listen to everything else in the podcast network and you'll get it eventually.
Jesus Christ. Actually, that should be the running theme for this podcast. There are tons of running jokes. Don't understand? Just listen to all of them. All 349 of them.
Master plan.
Eventually, you'll get all the jokes.
Eventually, derp, you'll get all the jokes. Sorry.
That one's new today.
That one is new today. Yeah, we're running with it. You know what? It might come up later.
Who knows?
Maybe not.
Maybe.
But yeah, listen to Baby Driver. Why you're already listening to it? Why I say listen to it.
Keep listening.
Keep listening to it. Jesus Christ! Now it's okay. You know what? Take a drink. It's gone off the rails. Episode 3. This is why I love doing these, though, because well, you know what? On that note, we're gonna let your hatred simmer, and then we'll come back. We'll start the episode. 349.
Friend of mine today was like, I always do like the how do you spell that, but I tried that because I worked in a high school for 3 years, and because it was a like large population of students, I'd be like, wait, remind me how to spell your first name again. But every now and then it would bite me in the ass with John and Nick. I'd be like, sorry.
I spelled my name. Okay, my last name's weird. ARGANBRIGHT. I was dropped something. Okay, so I also dropped something off the dry cleaner today. But I just remember I had to sit there and I was just like literally. Can you spell your name? ARGANBRIGHT BIRGHT. And I was like,
okay,
sure,
yeah,
that's a way to spell bright.
I've been doing a weird thing. So I'm going to Paris for my job next week.
Yeah,
I've been in charge of doing all like the reservations and stuff. So I've been doing dinner reservations, but I don't speak French. So I've been using Google Translate to write out what I need to write
is the word.
in an
If
email.
you need help, let me know.
Thank you.
Sure. It's for like the end of what you don't have anything left to do you?
Probably not.
I'm offering you assistance now that you're done.
It's gotten to the point where I started my emails with my apologies for the poor translation. I am using Google Translator. Like I off the bat, I'm like,
see, that's good. So
I'm an ignorant American. I'm sorry, but it's so great because I write out the email of what I need. And then I'm like, thanks, put the reservation under my name, it's Kyle. And they write back like, bonjour, M. Kyle, which is...
Monsieur Kyle.
Bonjour. Yes, they think I'm a dude, still. Which is great. And I mean, it's fine. Kyle's kind of an English name anyway, so it would make sense they would assume it was a gentleman, but it still just kind of made me laugh.
Just reply and sign off MLLE Kyle.
That's what I did actually. Well, first I did Madame, and then and then Colleen corrected me. You're not a Madame, you're a Mademoiselle. I'm like, touche. I do know that word in French.
So, funny story about Google Translate. In my old job at Chase, I was in a call center position. It was my first time I ever got a call, and no one ever told me if you get someone Spanish speaking on the line, a Spanish speaking banker, or a customer, either or. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: if you get a Spanish speaking banker, they should be bilingual.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way they can help both. Yeah. But I got this one person, and I'm assuming they were a banker, because if not, how did you get this number? But they got over to me, and I didn't know you're supposed to give them to the bilingual line.
Oh, no.
And so I pulled up Google Translate, and I already know no habla español. I already know that because I did go to Spanish, even though I remember nothing else except for La Nueva, which is the snow, and I think Tengo el autobús, which is ride the bus.
Yeah.
And here, okay, our Spanish teacher though would actually act things out for us. And then when he said, and actually it was a lot of fun, he goes, La Nueva, or he would say, I think it's going to La Nueva, and that means for all of us to take a piece of notebook paper and throw it at him, which it was really cool. So I remember that. I remember nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
But I just remember I Google Translate, and my manager was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm Google Translating.
You're
so
problem solving.
I'm problem solving, right? And he goes, we have a bilingual line. And at that point, the person already they started to freak out and they it felt really bad. I know, it felt horrible.
Yeah,
but no,
sometimes
it was bad. But there is a recording out there if they still have it somewhere. It was within the last 7 years of me trying to Google Translate. It's like 1 second or one momento.
One momento.
Really, I gotta. Oh, ya no way da ba da ba da da.
This is how I know I've lived in Ohio for too long because I grew up in San Diego. But I had someone with a heavy Hispanic accent call my office the other day, and I said, "Habla inglés?" And he's like, "I am speaking English." And I'm like, "Oh, you just have a really heavy accent." Oh God, no! I've lived in Ohio for too long. I can't hear it anymore. It was.
Well, you already said welcome once, but welcome out again.
Google Translate, everybody.
Google Translate.
To catch
Google Translate if Nick will keep his job, if he doesn't edit any of that. Today we're going to talk about Baby Driver, as you heard again in the intro, because I like to repeat myself.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Baby Driver is directed by Edgar Wright Davis. I didn't write that down, so that's good for me. And
don't
stars.
Take a drink.
Yeah, thank you. That's right, motherfuckers. Don't take a drink. Last episode, because by the time this is out, you have heard it. I did not mess up the intro for the sponsor.
Once.
Not once. Right? Didn't I mess something up immediately after? No, I didn't.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
It was like, and I waited till the end. I'm like, you didn't mess up once there.
That's right. I can be taught.
I believe in you.
Thank you. But we have, now this is where shit will go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Ansel Elgort?
Yeah.
Sure, that works. He plays Baby.
Egort, yeah.
Yeah, Baby Driver, aka Miles. A young man with a love for music who works as the getaway driver for a rotating crew of bank robbers. Thank you, Wikipedia. Kevin Spacey is Doc, the mysterious kingpin of the ragtag game of bank robbers and veteran criminal mastermind. Lily James as Deborah, a young waitress who befriends Baby. John Hamm as Buddy, a.k.a. Jason Van Horn. I don't remember that part. A handsome party animal and frequent member of Doc's gang. Isa Gonzalez as Darling / Monica Costello, one of Doc's gang bank robbers. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so they probably showed her picture with her real name. Okay. Buddy's lawless and scandalous wife and partner in crime. Jaime Fox as Bat / Leon. It's Jamie. Jaime Fox, an impulsive, violent member of Doc's gang. John Berthnall as Griff, as one of Doc's gang who mocks Baby constantly. And then for funsies, we have Flea as Eddie No-Nose, one of the people in Doc's gang with the second group. Also for fun, if you didn't know, Big Boy was also a actor in the movie, as is Paul Williams, the Butcher. And the Paul Williams one doesn't surprise me. We'll get that right out of the way. He's the guy that runs the gun stuff. Yeah. And for those who don't know, any Muppet song you've heard that was really good, aka from the Muppet movie, Muppet Christmas Carol, Paul Williams wrote that, and you should be ashamed if you didn't, out there, listeners. You know what? Take a drink for not knowing that. Shame on you.
Big Boy and Killer Mike both.
Oh yeah, Killer Mike. Yeah, they were both restaurant
Bacchanal scene.
patrons. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I need to point this out. This is why I wrote this down. C.J. Jones was Joseph Baby's deaf foster father, and he did a wonderful job.
Oh, he was great.
Oh my God, he was so good.
Okay.
I was so happy that I'm like, deaf actors in real sign language in the movie. What?
I feel like lately a lot of people have been doing stuff like that. There's that movie To the Bone where I think they use people who really have the sickness of bulimia and anorexia.
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. And in fact, they said this has a lot of stuff, and it's made by people who have it and people who support people who have it. So this might show you graphic. Anyway,
Maybe doing that more and more, like with Orange is the New Black, like using actual transgender actors,
which
actresses.
is nice.
Yeah,
because the show Speechless, they do the same thing. There is he's not as actually that far down the hole, so to speak. Like, he can actually kind of talk. I think the kid's name is Kevin in the show. But anyway, yeah, it's that might be wrong, but I wasn't prepared to talk about that. So Yeah. But no, but that's what I'm saying. I think that's really cool, though. Like, you're actually giving people who have... You're not, like, paying Brad Pitt to sit there and go, all right, sit in a chair and act like you have this disability. You're getting real people who are actors, which is good.
But for a second, can we please take a moment to imagine Brad Pitt as the foster dad?
That would have gone
so for some reason, the only thing I can think of is when we all said that is from Burn After Reading, where he's in the tracksuit and going.
Oh my god!
but it's
Brad Pitt I picture.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I couldn't picture him doing it, and so so then I just hear. And he just doesn't talk. That's all he can do.
It's like there are certain actors that if you cast them in any role, it's going to be such a distraction. And he's one of them.
And I feel like but see, and that's the beauty of like, okay, Kevin Spacey, I could imagine doing that.
Yes.
That's the weird thing. Like, in my head, Bryan Cranston is another one.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep.
This is why casting directors are so important, because they can look at someone and go yes and no.
Oh yeah.
God.
And whoever I'm sure Edgar helped, but whoever cast this movie did a great job. I mean, from start to finish. Because I remember Elgort, whatever his name is, from Fault in Our Stars. I didn't watch Divergent.
So fucking charming in that movie. Like,
and he is, but like, I'm like, oh, you're that guy.
Oh yeah. Like, as soon as this movie started, I'm like, oh, Fault in Our Stars, boy. Okay.
As a matter of fact, when I saw the trailer, I was like, why isn't the dude from Kingsman?
Yeah,
he was.
And Divergent, yep.
Mm-hmm. With the girl who was in Fault in Our Stars, I think.
Shailene Woodley.
Shailene Woodley. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was like, I didn't see Divergent, but I was like, you're that dude who does these movies. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're Thor's brother who's kind of breaking out of that now, like Thor did. Like, you're still stuck here. Mm-hmm. And then and also when I saw Baby Driver, I was like, why didn't they get the kid from Kingsman to do this? I mean, it looks good because it's Edgar Wright. But here's the thing is, like, honestly though, I feel like in my mind, like, once I saw the movie, I thought he was solid. He was solid.
And then I was reading about it today, and like they always do the thing where it's like, oh, these other actors were considered for this role. It was John Boyega from Star Wars. How do you say his last name? From Force Awakens.
Yeah, was he Poe or was he? No, the other guy. I know. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but I can't remember.
Finn.
Finn. I can't remember how to say his last name though.
Don't worry. It's only if I mess up the name.
Oh, okay.
Take a drink of Ray's Pagoda.
Bogota. That's the one. Yeah, because he was supposed to be. He was going to. Sure. Wow, you said that so.
You said it so convincingly, and then I looked at him. I was like, good job, and he just gave me like a. I don't know. You know what? Fake it till you make it.
That's what I try to do.
You know what? Go right. You know what? I dare you to go right. If you ever meet him, go right. And I was like, John Bogota, it's a pleasure to meet you, and he'd be like,
wrong.
I'm sorry, wrong.
But also, like, for instance, Deborah was supposed to be Emma Stone originally, and she didn't do it so she could go film La La Land. What a mistake!
Ooh, yeah. I mean, that's true.
That movie did not do very well.
No, it didn't. It didn't get any praise, and she got nothing for it.
Nothing.
Almost nothing. She did get, from what I hear, she got paid about 70% of what they paid Ryan Gosling. So that's not nothing.
Did
Welcome to being a woman. I mean, you're probably not.
It sounds good, right?
You're not
you are that guy now who just randomly says facts.
You can say whatever you want, and as long as you say it like you just read it on the internet, everybody's like, "Oh,
yeah, totally." Yeah. I mean, it probably does exist out there somewhere, to be fair.
Welcome out to the Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, where we occasionally have fake news. On purpose, apparently.
This review may or may not be entirely made up based on how much of this movie I remember and how much of this movie I'm making up on the spot as we talk.
So, Nick, did you just see this movie, like, this past week?
No, I saw it, like, 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Actually, I think all of us saw this about 3 weeks ago.
No, I saw it when it first. I saw it when it first came out because I went with my friend Amanda Bauer, and I went. And to be like full disclosure, I'm usually not a fan of like car movies. I like heist movies, but I walk a real fine line. Yeah. So when I first saw a preview for this, I was kind of like, it's about cars and like a little.
Yeah, the first preview I saw, I was confused. I was like,
but then I found out Edgar Wright was doing it, and I was like,
that's everyone's response.
It's like, okay, I'll go see this movie.
Yeah, if Edgar Wright's behind it, then
everything else he's touched.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll see anything that he does, and oh my gosh. Yeah, like that opening scene reminded me so much of Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
Where he's walking through the town like half asleep, and they have just that long tracking shot of him during that opening sequence where he dances, I should say, with quotation marks around it. But oh my god, it was so good.
That's a good point. To touch on that a little bit, I do feel that this is, I think, the most adult movie he's ever made. And I mean that in terms of how he's presented the film, because he's known for his smash cuts. He has a very distinctive style, and I felt like he almost muted his style a little bit, not a lot.
I don't know if he muted it. I mean, he definitely it matched up with the music beautifully.
I mean, it wasn't like one of the Neapolitans, but it was
right. Or maybe I feel like all those movies are like, I remember the demo reel for Ant-Man felt very like, when you watch it, you're like, that is definitely a Edgar Wright demo reel of Ant-Man, which is, there's a lot of like the like slash cuts, whatever. And like in the trailer, they even give you a hint of that because it's like directed by Edgar Wright. But when you watch the movie, like you don't hear the whatever, like, and the cuts are done very, like, they fit perfectly within the context of the movie. They do for the other, his Neapolitan trilogy too, but I just know, like, when you watch it, you're like, that's definitely an Edgar Wright movie. This one I walked away going, if it wasn't for the music, I might not have known it was an Edgar Wright movie, which is also a good thing. I felt like I don't know, I just remember walking away like going, oh my God. Because you're right, that is almost an exact replica of that shot to an extent.
It's very, it's almost an homage maybe, but yeah, it was.
He ended up not doing it, but he did a demo reel for it. Sorry,
he left.
He did.
Ended up doing this instead,
right? Because he's been. This like he was on Ant-Man for a long time, and then this was his second baby project. And then when but when he lost Ant-Man, he is like, well, I'm going to do something that's super personal to me, and which good for him because it's amazing.
I just like from the get-go, I really was super into the movie, like even from the first scene, and they just immediately go into the soundtrack and the like car dance number and like
the way they did the heist, I thought was so freaking clever when they're cutting to inside and to outside, and like I loved that basic, like, his iPod was a click track for the movie. Like everything was on with it, and even in bits that were more subtle, like, and I don't know how many times they had to get those takes to get those shots, like, of the bank heist. And I did read that he was, like, they would just pump the song while they were shooting so that people could hit their marks a lot easier. But, like, when they cut to Baby in the car outside, like, playing his drum solo on the dashboard and then cut back into the bank, and he's cocking the gun still to the beat and kicks the door open still to the beat. Like, everything throughout the depth of the scene was choreographed to the music pretty much throughout the movie.
Which really, it was really impressive too, because that started happening, and during that opening dance number, and they credit a choreographer for the entire movie. Yeah, which I was like, so that's the thing. It's going to be that, and I thought it was so marvelous, like down to. The words being on the wall as he walked by, like, that matched up with the song. That was slick.
After the heist, when he went to get coffee, that scene with Harlem Shuffle was just
so good.
And that was so good. Because in the first bank heist scene, my worry was that Ansel was going to play this character that was very, like, moody and quiet and, like, very kind of, like, aloof. But then he goes outside, and the moment he is by himself, he starts, like, getting down and, like, dancing to Harlem Shuffle, like, in the streets. I was like,
yeah, he's a positive, upbeat guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it was so fucking... This whole movie was pretty fucking charming, which I did not expect.
And it's refreshing, too, because you already... Especially... Because the trailer makes it come off to be like, he wants out.
Or, like,
and
very
he's
serious.
Like, and he's very serious and maybe kind of sulking that he wants out. And, like, you only get glances of that, like a normal person probably would be, which is, you know what? I had a pretty good day. I didn't get arrested. And I'm making breakfast. Things are going great. Hey, I might have met a girl, too. This is awesome. Things are great. I mean, like, it's a very... And then it's when he thinks about it, and you get, like, one little moment, you can see, like, I really need to get out of this. And then he's right back to... Which... Because that's how I think people probably really would be in those situations. Well... I wouldn't know.
I mean, this entire movie just...
When I was a carjacker in the early 20s.
I mean, this
is
entire...
reminiscent of that.
A while ago, like, when I talked about, like, what are the dumb, weird things that make you happy? And I feel like maybe you talked about, like, your, like, a blinker or your windshield wipers being in tune with a song. This entire movie made me feel that kind of, like, happy feeling of everything being in sync. Like, even when they're in the laundromat and listening to T-Rex. and like they're tapping their feet, and I was just like, oh, it made me feel so happy.
Oh, we're skipping ahead too a little bit to the end of the movie because this is a good point too. The movie still makes you feel good. So he went to jail. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he still gets the girl, and he served for his crime, which he know. And that's the thing is, he knows that what he's done is wrong, but like he's kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place thing. But at the end of the day, he still eventually does the right thing. He's kind of forced to as well. But he serves for his crime. And usually that's where normally the movie would end, is he gets a conviction and goes to jail. No, they show he gets out for parole, and every nice thing that he's done during the movie comes back, and karma, it pays it forward, which is, it helps with that. Like, because they show people in the stands, like, he was very polite to me.
All
he gave me my purse.
Testimony during the trial got him a reduced sentence, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, and I just remember, I was like, yeah. Because, look, a heist movie usually ends with, it never goes well, that's the point, kinda. Or they do a few good heists, and then, like this one, and it goes south. Right. And it's how do you deal with that? And it usually ends poorly for everybody. This one...
It only ended poorly for 90% of them.
Right, but they were also most of the bad guys.
Yeah, they were all bad.
Well, yeah. Like, Kevin Spacey's turn at the end was a bit like... Because in the back of my head, my brain was just going, that fucker's a good dude. But then as the movie kept going, I was like, maybe not. And then he did that turn, he's like, well... And I did kind of have a problem. I was like, well, obviously you love her. And I'm just going like... I mean, thank God. I like Kevin Spacey as a good guy. He's not enough of it, really, because he's so good being bad. But I was just like, oh, thank God. But, yeah.
I thought Edgar wrote Spacey's character so weird in this. Like,
well, Spacey in general is such a... He's kind of like Christopher Walken.
But I mean, like, he's like super cool in the beginning, and then he like becomes like this kind of dark, devious, like,
threat. Yeah.
When he makes the threat when they're out at dinner. Like,
yes.
Shit gets dark with absolutely nothing for the viewer to base that on. Like, he's like, I would probably just kill you, and that's that. And you're like, I mean, as far as I can tell, you're the brains here. Like, everybody else does everything for you. Like, would you actually kill him, or would you just like have somebody else? Like, I don't like. He didn't come off as like. It felt like Frank Underwood trying to be somebody else. Like, there was a hint of Frank Underwood, like if he was trying to be, like, I would have believed it way more if Frank Underwood had said that. But Frank Underwood as this guy was like, there were too many other things that were like, really? Like, it was just
he was a little back and forth for me. I mean, overall...
I don't think that was Kevin, though. I think that was the writing.
Also, I forget the actor's name, but that was the Punisher, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the Punisher, John Berthold. Okay, now let me ask you, did you think that he got killed?
Yes, because he's like, if you don't see me again, I'll be dead. And then he never shows up again.
That's what I thought, too. Because I was like, he's going to come up at the end and either save Baby, and or he'd be the Han Solo moment, as I like to call it, or I think he would be the one that would, along with Jamie Foxx, him and Jamie Foxx work together on like a side hustle, and then he doesn't show up. I was like, I think that dude died.
Yeah. Like,
at this point, I think it's just everyone going, I want to work with John Berthold. Will you please do my movie?
Yeah.
And that's like, it's a nice little like...
If you can write me out of it less than halfway through, I'm there.
Yeah, I got to go film a thing for Netflix like an hour later.
But, and it was, and I like to like how it all comes down to a matter of love for the main, because really the main antagonist ends up being, surprisingly, John Hamm, really. Yeah. Because things, go so far south. And even while shit's going down with Jamie Foxx, like, he's kind of on Baby's side a little bit. Not a lot, but...
I call him, like, an entertained observer, almost. Because even from the beginning, you can see that he's very kind of, like, enamored with the idea of this kid who can drive really well and get them out of these situations.
Oh, and,
even, like, later he has, like, the kind of bonding buddy-buddy moment, like, what's your song? Tell me your song. And then, and then it flips on him in the end, but... Man, oh, God. I hope one day I'll get a chance to sit down and watch Mad Men, but anything that John Hamm does, I'm, like, on fucking board for.
I'm not gonna lie, the first season is really difficult because you hate him. Like, everyone...
I got about halfway through season 1, and, like, I just kept falling asleep, and I'm like,
that's what I'm saying. I kept falling asleep, and also, there is no character I liked.
Yeah, there's nothing likable. I was like, why do I want to keep watching?
But it's not the fun kind of unlikable.
Well,
like, Always Sunny. Like, Always Sunny, you're like,
they're unlikable to the point of not caring what happens
to
any of them.
Comedy, too.
Well, true. That's very true.
Mad Men has, like, okay, for example, Draper is a horrible human being, and at first there's no redeeming qualities about him in that first season for you to latch onto. The Sopranos, which is the same kind of, like, it's a drama, which I think Weiner also wrote for. You get him being mob boss, and then there's these fucking ducks, and he's so kind and considerate for these ducks. He's concerned to the point where he starts having a panic attack about it, and about other. I mean, it's other stuff too, but you're going like, well, that's a very relatable thing. Well, there's a heart
more of him as a human being,
like, right? And you can then connect to it.
Yeah, like I just didn't care. It's like I don't. All of you could like get hit by a bus on your way out of the office today, and I'd be like, "Well, that was a weird show," and that could just be the end.
Did you end up finishing Mad Men?
No.
Oh,
no, I made it through like season 3 or something, and I still didn't care. I was like,
"Oh wow."
There's like 3 people. I was like, you know, like Peggy and Red. I hope the 2 of you like go and start your own shit someday, because really. That's the only thing that was redeeming. I mean, and
Draper?
No, Draper I'm trying to think of her name. Like she was a supporting actress, but no, Glow Community. What's his name?
Alison Brie.
Alison Brie. Yes. Alison Brie, I thought was really good in that, but she had a more of a supporting role. But also, like, for me, I cared more about the women because I felt like we got to see them more as reasonable human beings instead of, like, everybody else just felt like a sleazy piece of shit who I didn't care about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like,
nothing redeeming.
You're a piece of crap and I don't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
And, like,
I agree.
Even when they would do, like, some selfish or underhanded shit, like, usually there was something to be like, all right, like, you let that shit slide or for whatever they're doing. And I couldn't feel that way about anybody else in the show. For a little bit about what's his name, Silver Fox.
Sterling.
Yes, for a little bit Sterling, and then it turned out he was just as much of a douchebag as everybody else.
Which is kind of funny because I felt that way about Jamie Foxx, because lately Jamie Foxx in movies has been kind of just like, you know, the.
Sorry for the tangent.
No, you're fine. No, trust me. That's exactly.
The chill, cool guy, but in this movie, like, he was such an irredeemable asshole.
God, completely. Yeah.
And it was so great to watch.
I feel like that's the thing, like there are some actors who I feel they get to a certain point and then they just coast on what they're best known for.
What they're good at, yeah.
Like, okay, look, do I think he's mentally right in the head? Tom Cruise is not mentally there anymore. I feel very confident in saying that. But he is a good actor. It's just, he doesn't really act anymore.
Oh, no.
No, like, literally, and look, I'm fine watching him as Ethan Hunt till the day he dies. And at this point, he almost did during a stunt, apparently.
Well, because
he broke his ankle. But
it's just Tom Cruise as Tom Cruise named Ethan Hunt in the movies.
Like, I remember I watched Rain Man about a year ago because I surprisingly watched it like every other year. And he is Jerry Maguire. He's amazing in it. And Magnolia, complete opposite end of what you expect him. Like, I mean, I'm not even going to say it. Like, he's like tame the motherfucking, like, and I'm like, why? Like, would never imagine him as a character like that. And he's really good. Yeah. And then you watch him and he does everything like I haven't seen The Mummy, but I know it's just Tom Cruise as the guy who karate chops the air to run away from the mummy.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's everything he's done pretty much since the first Mission Impossible has been, you know, title of the movie, parentheses, Tom Cruise sprints from place to place.
Right.
Like, that's what
I think that's why Tropic Thunder to me is such a gem, is because he legitimately acts in that.
Oh yeah,
and he's
got all the prosthetics.
You almost forget it's him.
Right, and I was like, I miss you, Tom Cruise. Right? And I feel Jamie Foxx, once he did Django, he just started like, I'm Jamie Foxx. I might say weird shit now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna try whatever I want to do.
Right.
He's like, I got my Oscar money.
Amazing Spider-Man.
I got my Ray. Oh my god, I forgot he was in that.
He tried. That's the thing. He did try a little bit on that one, but then at some point it's like, and now I just do over the top villain who talks like this. Even though before the movie I'm kind of doing like a Freud Lavin thing, and you're like, oh, Spider-Man. I'm such a big fan of it. I'm like,
yeah.
Where I don't know what that was a weird choice. Yeah, bro.
It was funny though because in the preview they almost kind of make him to seem more like a
Jamie Foxx everybody knows and loves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, because he's like, I'm gonna say a joke now.
It was like, ooh, tequila, and like everyone laughs, and they're like, oh, it's Jamie Foxx, and then you go in, and you're like, oh, he's like,
and then you see that line in context, and you're like, oh no,
yeah. No, it was man. So I really loved like everything about Ansel's like kind of performance about this movie, and just kind of like being like real chill and you know talking about. And I kind of wonder, like, what did he do during the day before he, meets this girl? Does he just, like, hang out with his, his deaf foster dad and make some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
I think he just made music and...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, made beats and wandered around. Listen, the weird part was his character, with the exception of boosting cars, was way too relatable to me. I was like... I didn't live with a deaf guy and I didn't boost cars, but the rest of it is like my life in my 20s. Like, you just hang out by yourself making beats and walk around with headphones in so you don't have to actually interact with the rest of the world most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, huh.
I mean, like him telling her,
weird.
like, you're the person I've talked the most to in the last year.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Like, whoa. That part was like, and I could totally relate. And I thought it was great. I was like, they did a great job of like being like, you don't say much, do you, kid? He's like, that's the best answer. I'm like, that's correct.
Oh, man. Okay. Random side thing is that were you relieved when the step foster father did not die? Like when you walked in there and you saw the place trashed and then you saw him lying there, you're like, oh, they killed him, because that's usually what happens in these types of movies.
Especially when
Jamie Foxx foreshadows it.
Yeah, when he was like, don't worry. You don't
he comes up in the wheelchair and you're just like, no.
Right.
But, oh man, no, I was happy that, it didn't kind of go down the trope path with that.
But,
and also, like, when he drops him off later at the home and leaves the note.
The note with the
on
recorder.
the tape recorder. Like, I like listening to music.
Edges.
I like feeling the vibrations through the... Oh, God. I was just like...
I like peanut butter sandwiches
spread to the edges.
But right after Jamie Foxx foreshadows that he killed him was the worst bit of dialogue in the movie.
Which one?
It was garbage, because if it had been written, like, if everybody's characters stayed true to who they were, in that moment, Baby would have been shot, put in the back of a car, and put in, like... regardless of what he had to say. And you don't argue with people like this. You just don't. I mean, in the movies, you do. This is a movie, so you can. But suspension of disbelief was out the window when he started arguing with them about, no, I'm your driver. I'm gonna... No, you're not. You just recorded all of our shit. We have the tapes. You don't cross me. We learned that from the guy in the very first heist. He didn't even do something as wrong as recording everybody to make beats.
But here's the thing, though. I feel like that was Jamie Foxx doing that, not necessarily Doc. Doc's just like, well, now I have a problem and I need to clean it up. That's how I took that, because I thought it was more on Jamie Foxx's end.
Well, and I think also before they play the tape, yes, absolutely. Like, if he had argued with them, but then they play the tape and see it's, him fucking
it's
around.
actually beats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of... Because I thought the same thing. I'm like, no, in any other scenario, he would have been shot in the head and put into a compressor like earlier.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue overall with the movie was Kevin Spacey's sudden change of heart at the very last moment. Like, because up until then I was totally buying it. Him being like, nope, this line is dead. Goodbye, out of here. And like she shows up and he's like, well, shit, you're in love. Let me help you out now. Like the whole I was in love once. That was the only real big thing I had with the movie.
I mean, here's the thing. As you say it, I'm like, damn it, you're right. But I think my problem is that if I like an actor, I embrace those. I can forgive that. See, but it is a problem. Because it makes no sense.
It's not the actor's fault. The actor's not going to be like, Ed, this line doesn't make any sense. I want to rewrite it.
Yeah. And also, to that point, it's really, he's just a talking head, and then he gets to say, well, shit, you're in love. All right, here we go. Cock, shotgun, let's go. And you're like...
Here's some money orders, see ya.
Right. And you're like, Kevin Spacey is an action star. Okay.
I mean, no, Kevin Spacey was totally fucking badass in that last scene.
But I feel like it's like, we're going to give Kevin a moment.
Well, and per my gripes in Spider-Man when I was telling you about...
I haven't listened to that one yet.
You should.
I need to see the movie.
Do you remember
first.
Guardians of the Galaxy? It's a lot like that, only more so.
God damn it, I'm so mad I missed that one.
So, this one is it could have been done that way, and that line could have been pulled off well if they had done it a little bit differently. Like, if he had grabbed his shotgun and skipped the We're in Love, put all the recordings into a duffel bag, and been like, into the elevator, let's go. And just marched them out to potentially put them in a trunk. And then the doors open, and those people are coming for him, and now Spacey knows that, yup, we're probably all gonna die.
It's a show don't tell
But I can give
thing.
that kid a chance. Yeah, it's a show don't tell.
It's show don't tell,
and
which
so
they told instead of showed.
If the bad guys are coming at you and you're like, we might as well not all die, so run. And then he cocks it. Then you can get away with it. Like, you know, instead of obviously you're in love, you don't have to say obviously because it's obvious.
Well, then also, you went through that whole thing of like, go to the border and don't take your foot off the pedal and da-da-da-da-da, and this will get you to... And I'm like, oh, come, we know this. We know this bit.
Come on, man.
Now, on the opposite end of that, how did you guys feel about Deborah with an H?
She, and this is not her fault. She is one-sided. I felt one kind of a one-sided character, but I think that was kind of, it's really more for babies. Baby's the more the lead.
See, I see what you're coming from there. I appreciated how they didn't have her fall into stereotypes. Like, I feel like
I enjoyed that.
I feel like a normal one-sided character, like in that diner scene, that super tense diner scene with, you know, with Buddy and Darlin, is that her name? And then
Buddy and Darlin.
And Bats, and like that's I feel like a normal one-sided, like, love interest character would have been like, well, you know me. Why aren't you saying anything to me? Why aren't you talking to me? But she played
smart enough cookie to catch the hint.
She played it fucking cool that entire time, which I really appreciated, because I feel like another movie would not have done that.
Yes.
But you know, she, the entire time, like, even when they're like, oh, they said this place is really shitty, like, a normal girl would have been like, oh, well, you're in here all the time. Why do you, like, I liked how they didn't go the well-beaten path with her.
No, I think
they made her smart enough to know, like, when some shit was going down.
They also wrote Darlin well. Like, I thought she was batshit crazy, and I loved the interaction where she was, like, trying to talk shit tough. Because I've met women like that, like, are just a little unhinged, and you're like, oh, come on, really? Like, and they give you this big speech, and your reaction wants to be Jamie Foxx's reaction, like, somebody go get this woman an Emmy. Like, that was, man, really? Like, that's your whole... And it was just so over-the-top cheeseball. But I thought she did a good job at the rest. Like, she wasn't written to be... I don't know, kind of the way you were saying. Like, she wasn't completely one-sided. Or she was, but not in a way that
they took something that people are kind of familiar and comfortable with, and they gave it a twist that I don't think a lot of audiences are used to.
Right.
You know?
Well, I felt too with Buddy and Darling both. That was more show not tell.
Yes,
and again, they would tell you by doing news clips or whatever. But I think that's the most you really got from them, besides little things from Doc. And like even little hints there, which is refreshing.
Well, and I kind of loved, and this goes back to earlier in the movie where Baby's watching a TV with his foster dad, and like every clip that is played plays into the movie at a later time. Like it's a really good and subtle use of foreshadowing, especially the very last clip where there's like a bullfight. And it's like, although bleeding and dying, he's gonna continue to like charge forward, which really foreshadows the final scene, like in the parking lot, really well.
I didn't even think of that. I was obsessed with the fact that Kevin Spacey called Baby on his Monsters Incorporated shit.
Yeah, the Monsters Inc. thing.
Which, once you see him with his nephew or cousin or whatever, you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, like Monsters Inc. And then also they watch a scene from the like oft-forgotten Little Rascals movie from the 90s.
Yes.
And like later in the, like a couple scenes later, he says to Deborah, like, you are so beautiful, and that's what he's singing in that clip. And it was just, I thought it was really very clever the way they kind of like used media like TV and other like little things to like foreshadow things.
14 songs that aren't on the sound. There's 30 songs on the soundtrack. There's 14 songs that aren't on the soundtrack that are in all of those little clips because they're not. Edgar Wright let the 30 songs that are in the soundtrack play basically start to finish. Not all of them, but a big chunk of those songs played the whole way through. Like it was a mixtape with a movie behind it, which was it's just such a clever idea. And to be able to have the money to be like, so here's what I want to do. And be like, you know what, go for it. And he pulled it off so well, but the subtle use of so much more music in the Little Rascals, the clip from Monsters Inc. And it's not just a clip from Monsters Inc. It's a clip from Monsters Inc. with a song in it.
Yeah.
And all of the little clips have music in them, which I thought was so
And I think that's kind of prevalent through his movies, is that music, I mean, and he doesn't need music, but like actually all his films feel like a rhythm that he has kind of going. So, which is just, it's unique. Like that's, like, I mean, immediately when you think of Edgar Wright, you feel like there's something.
Well, and I mean, I feel like a lot of his movies are kind of like another Kevin Spacey movie, which is The Usual Suspects. Like you can watch this movie, I feel like time and time again, and you can always see something new in it. Yeah. Because even, in the 2 times that I've seen it, I have noticed new things, like the foreshadowing. Like, that completely kind of, like, sailed over me the first time. But, I mean, I just really... You can tell that unlike a lot of, typical heist movies, that I feel like there was a lot more thought put into kind of the pre-production and obviously the production of this. And I mean, from what I've read about it, it's kind of been in development for years and years and years, at least in the back of Edgar Wright's head.
I think like 2002, 2004 or something like that. He just thought of it. Guys, actually, I think there's another clip in there. That's the only thing I did know was that is Monsters, Inc. And then there was a clip where there's like the race cars or whatever, or, drag racing or whatever. That's a clip from, I think, a commercial he did, or a music video he did. And they used, I think it's the Harlem, the
Harlem Shuffle.
The Harlem Shuffle song. Is what they
by a different band in that commercial because they couldn't get the rights to the original, and so both of them are in this movie, the cover and the original,
which
really
is
cool. Oh man, and even just like little touches. Like I read somewhere that the whole idea behind Baby having like tons of sunglasses and tons of different iPods is because he's
boosted so many cars.
He's stolen so many cars that he just has like an endless amount of like cool sunglasses
do you leave in your cars?
And iPods,
sunglasses and
iPods.
Yes.
Which is how he's gotten all of them to because when he's like, I got different iPods for different days, and she's like, so you feel pink and sparkly today?
I wish that that part was over my head, and until I read it, and I wish that there had been just a little bit of like.
There might have been.
And maybe there wasn't, I didn't see it, but I wish that there had been a little hint of like, and maybe it was supposed to be that, like, because he's got a pink sparkly iPod, where would he get that? And the scene with the sunglasses. Like, he smacks the sunglasses off and he pulls them out. And then he takes the sunglasses and takes them from him and he pulls out one just like the first pair and puts those on.
They're just, that was so funny.
I was like, God,
I thought the same thing because, like, it didn't occur to me until I read about it later. But also, even talking about how he uses iPods, obviously because they remind him of his, when his mom died.
Yeah.
But also because it's not like a smartphone where you can be tracked.
It's hard drive.
Yeah.
That's true.
All your music is there and you don't need to be streaming. And, he gets all of the
so there goes my
new
great
music
plan.
to listen to.
I would use my phone like an idiot.
You would use your phone.
I would use my phone. Like, I'm robbing a bank. I'd be sure to do that
GPS.
too. I was like, give me your money, please. I'd be sure to say that. And it's like, have you seen the very large fat gentleman who talks like a derp?
We gave him all our money because we weren't sure how crazy he might be.
Right.
So
yeah.
Before he was arrested, he made off with all of the money.
Yeah. And then as the cop pulls me, like, hello, officer, doop. Like, that's what, and then when I get to jail, I'm like, I'm a cold motherfucker.
All the character witnesses for you would be like, he just talked real weird
all the time.
Speaking of things that did kind of bug me a little bit, I'm thinking of another one now, which is the postal clerk that he meets one time to like
the lady.
To scout the place. The lady. How does she remember him after one time? Like, because when she's walking towards him and she's like, "Hey, old friend, how's it going?"
That doesn't surprise me at all because it's one day later.
Oh, it is one day later?
Yeah. I mean, he says, are you working tomorrow? Mm-hmm. She says, 9 to 5. And he's like, okay,
gotcha.
Great.
Okay. I missed that part because I thought it was like, I just wasn't paying attention to the timeline. But when she's like walking up and like waving to him, I was like, how do you...
She's like, oh, you're that guy from yesterday who asked me if I'm working tomorrow. And their interaction was more than... I need to buy stamps. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, they talked about Dolly Parton.
Yes, but the people who we had a short conversation and you asked me a question.
I talked about your kid.
Yes, we talked about
your kid. That is fair. That's fair. I for some reason in my head I thought that like more time had gone
by.
Yeah, but that makes way more sense. Well, and also, did we talk about the nephew yet?
That kid was great.
That kid was
great.
That kid, oh please, like don't quit acting. You're so good.
And to also point out too that it was nice that Kevin Spacey knew that he was kind of a little shit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're like, I see where he gets it from.
Yeah.
Kind of like him being like, you wouldn't even need to pull a gun on her.
It's a little chip off the old block.
Yeah. Oh, he was adorable and so great, and
he's so good.
And he sends like Baby in to case the joint, which obviously this kid has no experience doing, but the nephew obviously has
played this game before. So he tugs on the shirt and he's like, hey, there's 10 cameras, 4 employees, like 1 security guard, and you're good. And
isn't he playing his iPad or something?
He's like playing on his
PlayStation, Game Boy, iPad, something.
And then and like within a second, he's like, oh, here, and then like later in the car, he like cues him for like
this many.
But it was, oh my god, he was a fucking delight.
Now, have any of you been to Atlanta?
I have driven through it at 3 in the morning only because
like freeway drive-through.
Well, my cousin before my cousin and her husband moved to Orlando.
Orlando, I love you, Orlando. Sorry, I've always wanted to just do that randomly. Thank you. Continue.
Bucket list.
But we went to Disney World for like 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
One year. But I remember while we were planning our drive down there, they were like, all right, we have to leave Columbus at such and such time because that means that we will go through Atlanta at 3 in the morning when no one is on the road. Because Atlanta, from the 2 or 3 times I have driven through there, has some of the most hellacious traffic I have ever experienced in my short life.
I guess that would be my only... when I was watching the movie, I didn't think about while I was watching it, but after I was like, that boy had problems. He must be that good because Atlanta is literally, even if traffic wasn't bad, it's naturally bad because every fucking street is called Peachtree, and number 2, so like you know how West Broad or High goes down through the center, like it's just like there's Peachtree, and then there's like Peachtree, then there's other Peachtree streets that are also called Peachtree. There's no like something before it or after. It's just Peachtree.
That happens here,
but I feel like it's not as bad here. Maybe
it might not be as bad. I don't know. I've never been to Atlanta. It happens all over Columbus, though.
Are you talking about like 3rd Street and 3rd Avenue kind of things?
Well, so I had to go to a place on High Street the other day, and so I put in 692 High Street, and a GPS popped it up, and I was like, oh, that's like an almost 4-minute drive. That's super close. So I drive over there. I was like...
Was it in fact South High Street?
I don't think that's here. Type in High Street. Oh, High Street in Worthington, which is still 23. It's still High Street, but it's a different South zip High code. Street, North High Street, High Street. After North High Street,
I got you.
It's kind of like how 270 goes north and south, then goes east and west all of a sudden. That still fucks me up to this day.
Yeah, if I'm going from somewhere I've not come through before, so 270 goes around Columbus. So like if you're just driving around, and if I'm coming from a different side I've not come through often, and I need to go like get through. But here's the other thing I was going to say about Atlanta is that it's also like Columbus is not that bad in terms of one-way streets, in my opinion.
Unless you're downtown.
Yeah, unless you're downtown.
But that's the thing. Like even downtown, like it's not that bad. Yeah. I mean, it's not great.
And if it's between 4 and 6, don't fucking turn right when they say don't turn right, because you will get a $250 ticket.
Oh yeah, because of cameras. But literally, I would say like 90% of Atlanta is one-way roads.
One-way streets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Columbus, I feel is like maybe 20% is one way. Yeah. Downtown, so the fact that he's doing all his shit, I'm like, that fucker must be good.
Well, I mean, and they mentioned in the movie that he was born there and grew up there, which makes sense.
Which does make sense, right? But I mean,
the only scene that doesn't seem plausible to me, then, like, if he knows it, he knows where the streets are and where they're one way and where he's got a better chance of avoiding traffic. But when he gets on the highway and hops under the bridge in the red car and like plays the cup game with the other 2 red cars, it was a slick thing to shoot. It was fun to watch it choreographed.
Oh yeah,
but
big old butt.
He would have been waiting on the on ramp to get on the highway. He wouldn't have cruised onto the highway and then danced around with other cars.
Which they do have that waiting on the on ramp in the next heist scene with the mom and the baby.
Yeah,
when, they have to get out. They do kind of reflect it then. But no, I know what you mean though.
No,
because even going through Atlanta at 3 in the morning, there's still some fucking traffic. It's like going through LA. There's always traffic.
It's horrible. It's horrible. And that's just on the freeway. Yeah.
Which I guess originally they wanted to film it in LA, but they went to Atlanta for taxes or whatever. And I mean, but it still makes sense traffic wise because Atlanta's in Georgia.
It's Georgia Peach.
But no, oh man, aside from like those few nitpicks, though, I just really genuinely enjoyed this movie. And funny enough, because Nick, you and I were on the Guardians one together, I after this bought both Guardians soundtracks and the Baby Driver soundtrack and put them onto a playlist, and that has been like my. In the morning when I go to work, I have a lot of like opening duties where I put dishes away and get the coffee going and clean a bunch of shit, and I will put that on a Bose speaker and like blast that shit through the entire office by myself.
They're solid.
And it's a solid soundtrack.
Guardians little thing. So I'm thinking of with my wife going to Chicago. Maybe I don't know. And when I'm looking at the map about where hotels we can stay at, do you know what road is there? It just runs right through. Like it's a big old drive that runs through Chicago.
Michigan Avenue.
Lakeshore Drive.
Lakeshore Drive,
which is a song in.
I was just like, oh, like there's the song that I listen to a lot. Relieving, lady.
Sorry. Ever since he passed away, I've been doing Jerry Lewis. Well, I've been doing everyone's impersonation of Jerry Lewis, and I tend to either go. I add the Freud Laven. Well, no, he goes for Lavin on Simpsons. I guess I'm really doing more Paul Rugg's Jerry Lewis or Mr. Director. Puppy dog children, come here. This is how you do it. Oh, lady with the shoe size too small. Yeah, and then it's like, can you do that little puppy dog children? That's how you do it. It's like, yeah, we can do that. Oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, lady, oh, nice lady. It cracked. Sorry. And scene. You know what? Just take a drink for no reason on that one. You just need to.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Also, one of the songs I think I'm the most obsessed with from the soundtrack is the intermission that's played at the post office.
That song is so freaking good.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's like,
which song is it?
It's called Interlude or Intermission.
It makes you feel like you hear it and you're like, that's all of the elevator music ever.
Yeah.
It's just that's the song that is
like
in
when
the
it's like
second intermezzo part. Oh, I need to change this from playing in the living room to playing on this phone.
Oh yeah, right now your fiance is like, why is music coming?
Like the elevator music.
That is amazing. And that's probably an actual, like...
Yeah, this is an actual... This is Ennio Morricone in Lounge.
I love little things like that.
I love music. But also just the sound mixing, I felt like was really, really well done. Like, have you guys seen 127 Hours Later or 127 Hours?
It's been a while. With the guy cuts his arm off.
So, are you aware of the premise of it? Yeah. So there's the scene, the kind of like climactic penultimate scene where he decides to use a handy tool to cut his arm off. But they do these really cool things where there are these like kind of chords they play as he's getting to the nerves.
Oh man, yeah.
Like the tendons. And that is one of the few movies that I've actually like kind of viscerally had a reaction to, where I was like, "Oh my god!"
Well, and I
feel like they did a really good job the same way in this one with the tinnitus, especially.
Dude, when the tinnitus would kick in, because I have mild tinnitus, and it was.
Oh yes, sorry.
Like in the garage with that happening, and they did a really great job at kind of showcasing. Yeah. What that might actually feel like or sound like to someone who isn't familiar with it. Yeah. I feel like they did a really, really good job at, and they do it very subtly throughout the movie up until that point where it just kind of sounds more like just maybe like some feedback for a little bit.
The use of tinnitus, the subtle use of tinnitus throughout, I thought was amazing.
And I didn't feel like it's for a second I forgot. I mean, I knew he had, I forgot that they even did that. And so it's really, it's done just enough that if you think about it, you go, yeah, they do
and
go
you
that.
notice it when the music drops.
Yes.
He's got a hum in the drum and he uses the music to drown it out. And every time the music drops, you get a little bit of the hum.
A little bit of it, yeah. It was done so well. And then, I mean, how poetic was it for John Hamm to do that after that garage?
Taking something that you love.
Taking something that you love. I was like, and as soon as he said it, I was like, oh no. And like for a minute I was like, is he gonna shoot his ears off? Or like, oh no, he's just gonna fire two off right next to him and that's gonna fuck with him so bad.
Taking your hearing.
And then, okay, so the ending.
Yes.
2 questions. Because they show a doctor, like, checking out his ears. Do you think they did something to, I don't know how well you can help or cure or make tinnitus any better, but did that happen? And also, because the ending is reminiscent of that one fantasy scene he has midway through the movie, did he actually get out of jail?
Oh. I took it that he did get out of jail.
I did too, only because they go to color at the very, very end.
Right, like that's the dream, and the dream becomes reality. And again, I feel like the way I took it was, it's because karma he was actually kind and good, and he just he got caught up in a bad situation he couldn't get out of, so that was his reward. Fantasy come to reality. But the doctor thing, I was thinking that was more for the gunshots. Yeah. Because people I've heard, not usually, but sometimes people, if they shoot things by their ears, it's like ringing for like a month or two, and then it will eventually go, like, you can heal that. Tinnitus, I don't think you can.
Tinnitus never goes all the way away.
Yeah.
It will just, like like when we have band practice, before I was using monitors, if you're in a small space with high volume, your ears will ring for a day, maybe 2, depending on how bad it is, and then it kind of goes away. But the more that happens, the more rock shows you go to, the closer you stand to the speakers, whatever the loud noise is that you're doing, if it's frequent, it always sort of goes away. But then you're sitting there and you'll notice, like, you're just like, making breakfast, and there's a you like just notice that there's a tone, a really ridiculously high-pitched tone that just sort of kicks in for a second, and you're like, and it's just there for a while. And then it'll sort of turn itself off sometimes. And it just kind of always is there. Sometimes it's more drastic than others. But when you have something that's as severe as that like...
Constant.
If it causes tinnitus, it's just constant. You just have a tone. You are living with an A sharp for the rest of your life. That's what it is.
Is it always A sharp?
No, it's.
I don't know. I feel like that was that was a valid question.
Yeah, that's completely
I felt bad for a second. I was like, it could be.
I think
definitely
he means like just like a tone.
Yeah, you're just living with like
you hear it
and
so much.
It doesn't vary. Is my point. Like I just picked A sharp, but the tone that you have, you can try and whistle it to match, and that's how people can figure out like what pitch they're hearing. And some people have dissonant pitches or even harmonic pitches. They have a different pitch in each ear, which would just I don't know if I could live with a dissonant pitch in the off ear. That would be infuriating.
Yeah, I get one like in my left ear occasionally, like not to that extent, but it's to a point where it'll, it comes from a lot of going to shows when I was a teenager and being as close to the stage as possible. And I mean, I think
break my eardrum.
I think I heard once that you can.
That's why the doctor was there.
Yeah. I feel like you can be on a street, and I think I read once that like if you have a fire truck go by you and don't cover your ears, like it can cause permanent damage.
So you saying that, I had the weirdest pop up of a movie go in my brain. Do you remember, or have you seen Mr. Holland's Opus?
Oh yeah.
That whole scene, and she just passed away this year, which is heartbreaking. Is Jean? I can't remember her last name, but she plays the mom, and I just remember, and it's and I just remember the first time I saw her, and I was in high school when I saw it, I was like, I don't get, why is that baby, it just took me like a, duh, oh no. Yeah, and it's like, and they do it like a slow motion, and it's not like cheesy, but she's like slowly turns, and you just see the baby sleeping through it, and everyone else is like, covering their ears, and surprise, your son's dead.
Yeah, needing a doctor after having a gun fired that close to you is probably making sure that your eardrums didn't rupture.
Yeah.
And doing that. Having them check it out after he got out of prison seemed weird. Not like...
Yeah.
The timing of that was like... Just want to make sure you got your hearing all the way back, buddy. Are we really putting that nice of a bow on this movie?
I didn't feel... But see, I guess I didn't feel like he got his hearing back. I just felt like...
Yeah, and maybe he didn't. Maybe they were checking it out and they were like...
I guess it does, and in retrospect...
I think that... I wonder why they put that in there specifically, because there was a reason, but I also was like, well, is it just because he's in a prison, so prisons have doctors?
I really want to watch that again, because I feel like there's something in there that,
Or was that, right when he got into prison?
It was after.
I think it was too, in the prison, but I don't... I mean, they kind of, blur the timeline of that together, because
they do.
They say that he can't get parole until, a few years after he goes into prison for a while.
Yeah.
But, and that's... that. And I know, you're not going to try to age up baby Ansel, but... it's like, he looks just as adorable and young as he did the day he went in.
When you say that, he sounds German.
Oh, yes.
He sounds so...
I just remember, him in The Fault in Our Stars. He was, so adorable and so great for that role, but after a while, I'm like, it's distracting how adorable you are, and I can't get the true feeling of this movie that I got from the book.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just, he's so cute. He's just so...
So does anyone have any other thoughts, good or bad, they would like to add for Baby Driver?
My only other one is a good one. And,
ooh. Yes.
No, right? Surprise!
So rare.
Yeah. Surprise!
That I really, really liked, having been in Drumline.
You were in the movie Drumline?
Yeah, I was.
How was Nick Cannon? I hear he's a real asshole.
That was me, as Nick Cannon. They couldn't actually get him.
Whoa!
Like Nick Ray. Will you
Effects had
Start
come right now, yeah.
Really
and
good.
Go. Yeah, sorry.
The scene, the shootout.
I'm so sorry.
In the middle of the song, it's the version of Tequila that they play is
Oh.
a cover, and there's two drum solos in the middle of it. and the drum beats were gunshots. And so they had the choreographer and the stunt guy work together to teach everybody with the guns their part. And so being in drumline, when you're in bass drumline specifically, when everybody else, like if you're in snare line, all the snares are usually playing a pretty similar thing. But in bass drumline, most of the time you're trading off your hits so that the whole bass drumline sounds like a unit. So it's really similar to that. Like you got dum da dum ba 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 dum dum da dum da 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 da. And so having all the different gun parts playing together to be able to make that drum solo, I thought was really, really cool.
Oh yeah, that was.
I was like, that had to take so long to learn. Like,
yeah, that. Oh man,
it was just a really cool scene.
Yeah, and I feel like they did such a good job at. It wasn't like overt and obnoxious, but they did such a good job at reminding you at various points throughout the movie that like, oh no, this is a very well thought out choreographed piece. Like, you know, them like taking the coffee cups out at the very beginning and putting the money down in stacks and like having that in time. And then even with, you know, him later kind of like shuffling the stack of money. And, it was just so fucking satisfying.
I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Aside from the aforementioned, like, small little nitpicks I had with it, I thought it was... Because I was really worried going into it that I would
nitpicks too, because up until we started talking about, I was like, I just like the shit out of this movie. So even though I said like the girl came off a little one-dimensional, it didn't bother me watching it. Like I felt like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't even really feel like I necessarily agree with that per se. It's just that I guess in retrospect, we don't really know much about her. She didn't need to. You didn't need to, but I think, and that's kind of a trope that the lead guy is more. Sure. But outside of that, I did
kind of dig about her though, that she was like, she got ride or die real quick with him.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and she's trying to like back up and get the fuck out of there when the FBI is like, you know, has cut off the bridge, and I'm like, all right, Deborah, go ahead.
They also had the scene where he pronounces it Trex, and she corrects him on it, and he's just like mortified that he said that.
And he kind of like laughs. He goes, "Yeah."
He's like, "Yeah, that's." And I thought that was really good, like because in a lot of movies that would have been the other way around. But yeah, I thought that. Yeah,
no, and you know, it kind of shows that like she knows her shit.
Yeah,
it was a good little kind of.
I thought were good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie, and I think it kind of goes to say like it's a lot of the things like, you know, back in with the Guardians podcast, like a lot of the stuff that Nick brought up, I agreed with wholeheartedly, but I had forgotten about it.
Oh yeah,
I was just, you know, I was like, oh, it was so good, but then he brought up, you know, the 700 jumps, and I was like, oh god, you're right, that was so bad.
I'm trying to find something, Nick, so I'm ramping.
Don't use your head.
I know it's so hard.
Look for it with your heart.
With your heart.
Use your heart.
Okay, you know what? I was going to play Tequila. Actually, do you have it? Do you have Tequila?
I do.
Yeah, because I was like, you know what? Is that the brass version though?
No, this is the chant.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to find the brass, the button-down brass.
Yeah, the button-down brass.
Yeah. And every time I pull it up, it's like, I'm sorry, you can't listen to this because...
Wait, I got it downloaded. Where you at? The driver soundtrack.
Awkward sadness. Here we go.
There you go.
I actually learned how to play this song on clarinet when I was in elementary school. And they made it
clarinet?
Uh-huh.
Have we talked about that before? I feel like that.
I don't know.
Okay.
But they made us stop playing it because it had to do with alcohol.
Well, folks, if you have any comments on Baby Driver, email us at goodbadgeeky@gmail.com. This is Nick with the Button Down Brass, smooth jazz. All you like. No, sorry, it's not even jazz. It's not even jazz. Yeah, if you have thoughts about anything else that we said today, shoot us an email or tweet us at goodbadgeeky. You had Kyle from MadLab, madlab.net, and RedRue. RedRue, yeah.
Which some guy here recorded a theme song for recently.
Oh, that's right. And the guy who is doing the theme song.
Nick
Wray from So Long Stargazer. And so thank you guys so much. And I want to say now something inspirational. I have nothing to say. So
don't boost cars, kids.
That's right. But unless you listen to really good music. We do not fully support that. But
and don't get caught.
Yeah, there you go. If you don't get caught, then we won't get in trouble.
Don't get caught.
Take a drink. There you go. That should be how the universe is like. If you listen this far, finish your drink. There you go. Finish your drink. There you go.
But
Jeez! You're a creep! Go away! We're having a good time until you start up, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something! Because I'll tell you something! This is a happy place!